they had no other choice.
There's a lot of people that are upset with me and the decision that I made to stop the race.
Critics say organizers were ill-prepared, complaining of water shortages and confusion.
I actually had to take a dirty cup from the ground and pick it up and get some water, or I would have been dehydrated. It was horrible.
We would have to fight for a cup and push through the crowd to find somebody to fill our water for us.
Some guy just kept walking down the street in the opposite direction saying the race was being canceled, which we pretty much didn't believe.
Some people were saying the race has been canceled, and then you go a little further and it said that you could keep running and do your time.
But the most devastating moment was when 35-year-old first-time marathoner Chad Schreiber collapsed and died.
It sounds like he lost his pulse very fast and died on the race course.
The father of three was just named Police Officer of the Year in his hometown of Midland, Michigan. His wife and brother ran the marathon with him, but had no idea he died until they went back to their hotel.
I think what my sister feels, and so I'm going to say it from her perspective, is that this is the day that Chad was called home. And it is a horrible tragedy, and it's a horrible thing that this marathon was handled the way it was, but, you know, if this was the day that Chad was called home, this was the day, and it could have happened in any other way.
Marathon deaths are not unusual, occurring in about 1 in 50,000 runners. The last death in the Chicago Marathon was in 2003. Race officials are going over what they could have done differently, but defended their plans, which included 18 buses to transport runners and 205,000 additional servings of water.
There was never a point where they didn't have water to distribute to participants.
An autopsy is scheduled tomorrow on Chad Schreiber. His family tells me he was perfectly healthy. As far as they knew, he had no known medical conditions. We're live at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Katie McCall, CBS2 News.
Thank you, Katie. Besides the confusion and questions about how the marathon was handled, runners described the race as brutal. CBS2's Pamela Jones was with them on that steamy course.
This is just the worst running experience I've ever had.
He laid down exhausted from the heat like many other Chicago Marathon runners.
I think the heat, and I don't want to knock the race organizers, but there was nowhere near enough water for how hot out it was.
Towards the end of the race, I mean, it looked like a war zone to me, actually. I mean, I saw a lot of runners just being carried off. I heard people calling out, medic, we need a medic.
The Chicago Fire Department rushed dozens to get medical attention. Not a surprise for spectators who got cell phone calls from runners asking for more fluid.
What they're saying is the drinks are gone, so they're sending us to the Kroger, whatever, Jewel, and get some drinks for them.
And these runners' need for fluids actually is backed up by science. According to a study published by the American College of Sports Medicine, as the heat and humidity rise, their performance drops, and slower runners have an even harder time. This duo says they couldn't have made it without help from friends on the sidelines.
There was no tables, or you'd get to a table and there'd be no Gatorade, and you know, with the heat, you need to replace your electrolytes.
But some say they understand the difficulty of keeping the huge crowds healthy in this heat.
I think that they tried the best they could. You know, yeah, they ran out of water, but people were squirting water on their heads, and that's how they ran out. You see people taking 2 and 3, and they were, you know, just trying to be cool.
Pamela Jones, CBS2 News.
Because of the number of heat-related injuries, the American Red Cross activated its Patient Connection program to help family members find runners who might be injured. The system goes into effect whenever a hospital gets 10 or more patients from a disaster. Today, the program helped reunite more than 36 runners with their loved ones.
Tragedy also struck at a race in Steve.